how to use modal verbs correctly. That's what we'll be looking at in today's lesson. Can, would, could, should, must, may, might, will, shall. There are only 9 modal verbs. Okay, 6. Modal verbs are irregular verbs without present or past participles. So wrong is maying and made, and right is may and might. Some modal verbs can be the same word in present and past tenses. I could go, I could have went. Infinitive verbs and gerunds can be used with modals. I might go there tomorrow. Reading may help. Modal verbs don't have an infinitive. We can't add the word to directly before them or directly after them. Wrong, to must, to should. Wrong, can to, could to. You can't say that. Modal verbs can't have prefixes and suffixes added to them, with the exception of might. Wrong and must. Wrong, shoulded. Wrong, shalling. Right, might. You can say mightily, you see. And number 1, modal verbs are commonly used in questions, but mainly act as helping verbs. Can it slice turnips? It could do that. It could have been used for that. An acronym to help remember the modal verbs would be WICCIMMSAWMS. Just drop the vowels and you've got the first initial to all the modal verbs. Will, can, could, must, might, should, would, may, shall. And we'll be looking at that acronym again, so we'll come back to that, so don't worry too much about that at the moment. It's just to help you remember them. Modals beginning questions. Let's start off with these ones. Can you take good photographs? Can you do the job? Now remember, when you're using can, you're asking, are you able to do something? Can I help you? How can I help you? Okay? You're asking if you are capable of helping someone. So, perhaps another way to ask that would be to say this. May I help you? May I sit here? You see, when you're asking for permission to do something. Permission to do something. May I help you? May I sit here? That would be better than saying can I help you and can I sit here? Shall. Well, this is another way of saying things. It replaces will, this one really. Shall we go for a walk? Okay? Shall we go for a walk? It's quite a polite word, that. It's not used that often. Now, will, that is for the future, okay? So when you're asking a question, you're talking about the future. Will he be coming with us? We're talking about something that's going to be happening in the future. So with would, you could say, would you like to take a seat? Now remember, the ones we're looking at here, we're looking at modal verbs being used in questions, okay? Could you hurry up? Could eating healthy foods help? Now, eating there, that word is a gerund, okay? Could eating healthy foods help? Might it work? Must you sit there? Should walking be encouraged? And what kind of word is walking? Yep, that is also a gerund. So let's have a look at modals and simple sentences. We might go there. Okay, we might go there. When you're saying that, it's a possibility. Okay, it's not definite. You could also say we may go there. It's very similar. I should really go now. Okay, again, it's something that should be happening. Okay, but it's not definite. Okay, it's the best thing to do. It doesn't mean to say it's what's going to happen. However, when you say I must go now, I must go now, there's no ifs, there's no buts, there's no maybes, there's no shoulds. That there is a necessity. I must go now. Modals as main verbs. We can, I must, you could, we could, they could, Ray definitely shall, everyone will, it may, yours might. Now notice the words there that are coming before the modal verbs are all pronouns with the exception of Ray, which is a proper noun. So let's get back to can. Okay, so when you're using can, is it possible? You can do this. Can you dance? Okay. May, a request and a possibility. May I join you? You may. I may have. Would, request or past tense for will. Would you like to join us for tea? And in the past, you would have liked it. Did you notice there the word that comes after the modal, have? That sends us into the past. We're talking about a past event when you're adding have after the modal verb. You would have had your tea by then. That's written, of course, in the present perfect, and that's how it's done. Have plus the past participle. Should, a recommendation, a possibility, or past tense for shall. You should go. I should have went. So you could say, I shall go. And if you didn't go, you could then say, I should have went. So that should.
Near the thatched cottage. Guy's hamlet.
Would, request, statement or past tense for will. Would you like to come? I would love to come. I would have went. I would go. Might, a possibility or an alternative to may. I might. It might rain tomorrow. And in the past, in the present perfect, I might have seen it. I might have seen it. You could also say, I may have seen it. What about must? Remember that one? A necessity, okay? I must visit this park. You must do the test. And that is true. You must do the test. The link for the test comes at the end of the video. Please take the test at the end of the video. Shall, polite request or replacement for will. Shall we go there? We shall do this later. I shall be considering my options. Will, talking about the future. I will go there later. As a contraction, I'll go there later. You will enjoy it. And as a contraction, you'll go there again. So, Okay, I'll just have a quick drink of juice and you can try and remember that acronym. Okay, with WICCIMMSAWMS, drop the vowels, remember, and you've got the first initial to all the modal verbs. I'll see you in a bit. So there they are, that's all the modal verbs: will, can, could, might, may, should, would, must, shall. So there's only 9 to remember here. It's not so bad when that's the case. So WICCIMMSAWMS, that's the way to remember them. WICCIMMSAWMS. Take away the vowels and you've got the first initials. So on with the lesson. Modal verbs in the negative. I will not do that. I cannot do it. And you can split can and not up in British English. They could not attend. You may not go near my room. They might not come. Okay, so that is called negating the verb. Adverb is negating the modal verb. That's what it's doing. We should never see them again. I would never go to seedy places. Kim must never see this. I'm delighted to say that we shall never see them again. And isn't that wonderful, knowing that you will never see ghastly people ever again in your life? That really is a wonderful thing. Contractions. Modal plus the adverb not. Okay? I won't do that. I can't do it. They couldn't attend. They mightn't come. Alright? Now you notice there, you may not go near my room. We can't contract that one. That's got to be said like that. You may not go near my room. But we could contract the other ones. We shouldn't see them again. I wouldn't go to seedy places. Kim mustn't see this. I'm delighted to say that we shan't ever see them again. Now, will not, okay, that changes to the word won't, and shall not, that changes to the word shan't. And don't forget to put the apostrophe in between N and T in both of these words. Contractions are normally used in speech and in informal writing. Informal speech. I couldn't. You shouldn't. We wouldn't. And that is how to say it. Could-int, okay? Should-int. Would-int, okay? But for goodness sake, do not spell it like that. You spell it as it appears to the left. But that's how it's pronounced. Modal verbs as auxiliary verbs. What does that mean? That means helping verbs, okay? The modal verb always begins the phrase. I can run quickly. I will compare your results to mine. We must try harder. I wouldn't work there. Written in full, that one would say I would not work there. So, the modals there are acting as auxiliary verbs, and that's what they do most of the time. So I can run quickly. I will compare your results to mine. We must try harder. I wouldn't work there. Okay, the main verbs are run, compare, try and work. The modal verb is the auxiliary verb and not the main verb. In these cases, pronoun plus modal plus main verb plus pronoun or noun. I will do it. You can finish the job. We could make a video. It might fit in the trunk. She may release her reviews. He should paint the room. Everyone would like that. Somebody must do something. Nobody shall hear him again. That was more examples of modals acting as auxiliaries. We show the overwhelming amount of modals in their past form in the present perfect tense. Modal plus have plus past form of the verb. I should have done better. I should have realized that. I must have had one. Have plus the past participle in the present perfect. Present perfect using modals. So modal plus have plus past participle. We don't use has or had plus past participle with modals, okay? Verbal phrases: could have done, should have realized, must have had. Modals not used in the past perfect. So wrong, could had done. Wrong, I should had stood. Wrong, would had stood. Okay? Present perfect. You must have seen her there. Kim would have gone on that ride. Must have seen, would have gone. Verbal phrases. The modal verb begins the verbal phrase. It always begins the verbal phrase because it's setting the tone of the verbal phrase. Very important, you do not use had. Will used in the future perfect tense. I will have decided what to go on by the time you get there. When you arrive, the park will have closed. Okay, so that's the future perfect tense. Will have plus the past participle.
Very nice holiday we're having in old Dubai. Temperature around about 115, 116 in the shade. Very refreshing, very refreshing. Very nice. Just watch these smash club.
We're at the Mirador pool where we used to live. Raging his Olympic stroke, looking awfully pale. God. Check those speeders out though. Eh? Get a job in the Russian army.
That was very, very refreshing, everybody.
So, contractions with modals. I should have wrapped up the gifts sooner. Present perfect contractions. Should have, could have, would have, would have, must have, might have, might have. And just notice how they are written as contractions. Very important that you're putting the apostrophe in the right place there. Okay? Pronouncing the contractions. So, should have, should have, could have, could have, would have, would have, must have, must have, might have, might have. And that is how to pronounce them. But try and remember to say it quickly, okay? Must have, might have. All as one word, you see. Try and say all as one word. Looking at long verbal phrases now, okay? With this tense here, the present perfect progressive, also known as continuous. I must have been working when you called. I could have been doing something better that day. The verbal phrases are must have been working, could have been doing. They're all verbs in big verbal phrases. Once again, you notice how the modal verbs are beginning these long verbal phrases. The longest verbal phrase found in the present perfect progressive. 5 verbs. It may have been being made in May. It could have been being made then. It might have been being considered then. It should have been being thought of then. It would have been being created then. Okay, we're talking about an action that may or may not have happened in the past. And of course, we can always negate it. It may not have been being made in May. It could not have been being made then. It might not have been being considered then. It should not have been being thought of then. It would not have been being created then. Okay, it's not used that often, okay? But it's good to know. So, let's have a look at fast speech. Present perfect. I should have known. I should have known. I should have done that. I should have done that. You would have known that. You would have known that. They must have seen it. They must have seen it. Okay, so just remember when you're hearing people say that don't write down what they're saying, okay? In writing, in speech, would have had, would have had, should have had, should have had, could have had, could have had. You'll hear this all the time. And this is where confusion comes from. So let's get back to old WICCIMMSAWMS again. Simple present. Will, used in the future tenses. I will do it. Can, being able to. We can do it. Could, able to. Slight doubt. We could do it. May, request permission possibility. It may work. Might, possibility. It might work. Should, recommendation or possibility. You should go. It should work. Would, a good replacement for can. That would be okay. Would you help me? Must, necessity. We must succeed. They must go. Shall, replacement for will, may or should. Shall we dance? I shall think about it. Past, okay? The present perfect, the most common tense for modals. Will, it will have been done by then. Can, that's not used in the present perfect. Could, we could have done better. May, it might have worked back then. Might, it might have been more acceptable in those days. Should, I should have known better. Would, we would have answered more questions. Must, she must have seen it. Shall, that one would be replaced with should when using it in the present perfect. Now don't forget to take this quiz, okay? It's very important that you take the quiz, okay? The link is up there just now. You can see it there. There it is. Click on it and take the quiz, and don't forget to check out the other playlists as well. And more importantly than all that, remember to subscribe. There's almost 100 lessons on this channel.